Hey there, it's Dr. Tom with EBM Fitness Solutions, and earlier I shared a couple stories of some client journeys who started out with pain, how they got through that, but now I actually want to share my story. Up until I turned 40, I'd been relatively pain-free. Minor things here or there, jammed some fingers, sprained ankles, but all minor stuff, nothing that was that big of a deal. But once I turned 40, I went through this stretch of just it was a proverbial rain cloud over the cartoon character, and it was just one thing after another, and it was a very sobering experience for me from somebody who had never really been injured to go through all these things. But I want to share because it's a struggle that I think a lot of people go through. The process took a long time, but I used exercise to get myself back. None of the injuries had anything to do with exercise. They were all unrelated to that, but I was able to use exercise, modifying what I was able to do to get myself back to where I am now, where I don't have any of these injuries. So it started a couple weeks after I turned 40. I was running an obstacle course race with my aunt, and there was just a strange series of events. I ended up dislocating my left shoulder. It was a traumatic dislocation. Basically during the race, it happened once, which started it, and then a total of 4 times it ended up popping out and back in throughout the day. Incredibly painful. By the end of the day, my arm was basically junk. It was spasming so bad, it was really painful. And it took about a week for all that to settle down before I could truly evaluate what was going on. And like a knucklehead, I did not go see the doctor. I didn't go to the hospital. I kind of knew what I did. I knew that had I gone to get evaluated right away, everything would have been positive because my shoulder was so painful and the spasm was so intense that anything they tried to do would have come back as a positive test. So a bunch of false positives would have led me down the wrong road. So I waited about a week and then kind of reevaluated what I could and couldn't do, had a pretty good idea of what I did do, what I didn't do, and then I actually waited about a month before I really did anything. I just kind of let it just calm down and just I did some range of motion. I still came to work, and when I was here at the gym, I would take my wooden dowel and just slowly move my arm through range of motion. That was all I did for the first month because it was still not so much painful. After the first week or so, the pain was mostly gone. It was apprehension. I didn't want it to dislocate again because it's a terrible feeling, to be perfectly candid. So I started that journey. That was September. And then as I was going through that, slowly working through there. But I mean, what I had to do now, mind you, so I've exercised a long time, so I was fairly fit going into this race when I got hurt. So I could do push-ups on the floor, I could do chin-ups and pull-ups, I could do all these things. When I came back after the injury, I was doing push-ups at an incline that was probably about chest high because the shoulder was weak, the shoulder was painful, and honestly I was scared to death it was going to go blown out the back of my shoulder joint again and just leave me on the ground with this thing stuck out of position. I was fortunate during the race it kept popping back in. But that was the biggest fear, was apprehension, re-injuring it. So I'm up really high, going super slow. I remember doing rows for the first time, just like a cable row, not even, so really lightweight. And as I was pulling, I had my other hand there basically tracing right behind just in case. If I need to grab it, I was able to do that. And so I worked from that, very easy stuff. And then it was months and months later when I finally worked down just to get into a push-up position on the floor. Didn't even do the push-up, just to get on the floor. And it was more anxiety-provoking and fear because I was worried again it was going to dislocate again. Even though I had no pain leading up to that, the shoulder was feeling good, it still wasn't right. As I went through that process, I then suspect, again because I didn't go get thoroughly or formally evaluated, I just did it myself, that I tore something in the other shoulder, basically probably compensating because of this one. So this one was not 100%, not even close, and then this one was a mess. Like this one, like if I was to reach up in my closet to like slide clothes across the hanger, that was painful. Like I couldn't do a lot of things with the right shoulder now. So now my upper body workouts were they were pretty weak. There wasn't a lot I could really get away with, but again, I found things I could do. I would lay on the floor and I would do 1 dumbbell floor presses for upper body stuff because I was very supported. It was something safe I could do. But everything was done with a different mindset. My mindset at that time was not about muscle pumping, getting stronger. It was, I need to get out of pain because this sucks and I hate this. So I spent the time with that focus, getting myself back on track. As I was going through those two things, it was about just prior to a year of dislocating this one, I tore something in my knee doing the dumbest thing possible. And again, I was at home and I moved the wrong way and I felt it pop, it swelled up. And then now I couldn't really do much lower body stuff because squatting hurt. I couldn't bend my knee all the way because it was painful. So now I had to modify what I was doing again. Again, this was getting stronger. It was about a year out, so it was pretty good. This one was still not great, but it was better. But now I have this. And then I believe as a result of this, left ankle pain soon followed. So now I'm pretty banged up. Lower body is impacted, upper body is impacted. So I had to reconfigure how I approached my workouts, and I did. I focused on very deliberate, very controlled things. Really bringing it back to some basic level stuff, and treated my workouts more like rehab sessions than actual workouts. And then eventually, left shoulder was good, right shoulder is good, knee pain was gone. I could bend, I could squat, I could jump, I could run. Left ankle was quiet, everything was good again. I could jump rope, I could do all these things. I had no pain, but that whole process took me probably a year and a half from when this first started to kind of come all the way around. And every now and again, this one will get a little cranky, but because I'm consistent about how I do things, that makes all the difference. So I do understand that painful journey, and the thing that is going to happen is nobody ever gets better as fast as they want to. It's always slower than you anticipate. Everybody wants to be better yesterday, but yet here they are 4 or 5 months in, and they're better, just not where they want to be. So that is part of the process. So embrace the process, be consistent with it, and it will get better if you do the right things. That much I can promise you.